The most powerful thing you will ever do to someone who wants to hurt you, or someone who has hurt you, or has caused any struggle in your life, is actually pretty simple. It's to not respond. And there's something powerful about reclaiming your emotions, about not giving into the things that are used to make you angry, the things that would incite this anger in you, these people that could trigger you. Why? Because most people, when they can't change your mind, or when they can't manipulate you anymore, the only thing they want from you is a reaction. It doesn't matter the reaction. It matters that they're getting something out of you. If you're mad, they want you to be mad. They just want to get something out of you. And the most powerful thing that you can ever do is literally not respond. Is not give them authority. Is not give them power. Is not give back into what they want from you. Because again, this is all they could do. If they can get something out of you, if they can get a rise out of you, then that's the only emotion that they're going to go after. But when you stop that, when you stop responding, when you stop giving authority, when you stop looking back into it, when you stop even questioning why they're doing it, you reclaim your power. So remember that phrase, fake it till you make it. Like that whole thing where you have to kind of just believe that things are going to be to succeed, or believe that it's going to happen in that sense. There's actually some truth to that, like scientific truth to it. Like science actually shows us that the people who are most successful, the people who are most powerful, the people who have reached the best accolades, who have done all these things, they have this thought as like almost like a reverse engineering of emotion, right? Where they understand that they have done something, or they can do something, so they engage with the emotion of success before anything else. So they believe that they're capable, and this also builds in their persistence. Like they are persistently working, persistently trying, because they know that there's something there. They know that they're capable of something. They know that that is an access to it, even if they haven't had the best schooling, or if they had the best people in their corner, or if they've never been super successful in them before. They know what it feels like to be there. And for a lot of us, this is just an overall thing, but the way we respond to things, the way we respond to people, the way we respond to situations or environments is a byproduct of that, because we don't know what it feels like to not speak into it. The mountain that we're talking about today, the mountain of not needing to give people attention, not needing to respond to the person, not needing to feed into the mess. One of the biggest triggers for a lot of us is that we're scared to not engage. And that sounds crazy, right? Because a lot of people are afraid to engage, right? You think that you're afraid to step into it, or to argue with this. But the biggest thing is that we are afraid to not engage because we're afraid of what people will say. We're afraid of the outcome. We're afraid of the story they'll tell. We're afraid that their narrative will be louder. We're afraid that people will look at us differently because of the things that they've said or done, or we're afraid of those things. But I need you to ask yourself this question: why are you afraid? Like, why do you care? Like, why are you so convicted to needing to look good in anyone's picture? Because at the end of the day, this is life. At the end of the day, no one is going to do anything more for you. They're not going to be the people that sacrifice things for you. They're not going to be people that suffer for you. They're not going to be people that pay your bills. They're not going to be people that step into the messes of your life and do anything for you. Why are you so caught up in getting people who do nothing for you to look at you in a better light? This is the hard thing for us. This is the mountain that we face, because we want people to see us as better. And this is long-winded. We'll explain it. We'll dive deeper into that. But we want people to see us better because we've tied what we think we look like to their words. So, example, we look at people on social media, or we look at people in industries like music, musicians, or we look at actors, or we look at all of these people, and there's a perception of them that is universally had. There's something that we all see and all have, because we think, well, because they are approved of, because they're liked, they're better people. The reality is, there's a saying that says that never meet your heroes. I don't know if you've heard that before, but the reality that we see these people and there's not anything good to them. The perception might look good. So whether subconsciously or consciously, we create a perception of us thinking that the way that we are good, or the way that we look good, is if other people can vindicate that for us, if they can give us validity to that. So we need to respond to certain things because it's going to paint our side of the picture. The most powerful thing you would do, other than not responding, is not care about your picture. Like, not care about the comments or the concerns or the questions. And I actually think that's a good thing. I think it's good that you see these people saying these things for two reasons. One is a catalyst, always, right? You're going to want to do better because you want to prove people wrong, which shouldn't be a thing. You shouldn't want to do better in life just because you want someone to see you or think about, wow, look how great you are, because that's not healthy. But it is useful. There's a catalyst to that, and I will never negate that. Is it healthy? No. Is there a positive outcome? Possibly. So I'm not saying do that, but maybe heal and just be better for you. And the second one is that it actually helps us see people for who they authentically are. The scope that we see people through is a scope that we become useful to them. So the reason that most people are nice to us or good to us is because there's something of benefit that they get from us. Like, there are a few people, which is good. This is actually a great thing that this highlights this, because you'll see the people who are authentically there for you just because they love you. And then you'll see the people who are there because there's a benefit to having you. There's something that they gain from it, or they just want to be in proximity to you because they see all the things that are happening in your life. At the end of the day, this can be a positive thing, is being able to see who these people are. If you need to respond, if you need to change your story, if you need to go into this mountain, what's going to happen is that most people will play the role, right? So they'll play along with the responses that you're giving. They'll play along with the words you're saying. They'll play along with these things. Why? Because they want to see the whole story. The most people are nosy. En español son muy chismosos. Hay muchos que son chismosos. They just want to be a part of that story. And when we need to respond to people, when we need to get something from them, it's because we want them to see us differently, or we want other people around them to see us differently. So this need to be seen, this need to feel validated, and I don't want to invalidate that, right? Because it's a reality. Like, you deserve to be seen, you deserve to be loved, you deserve to be valued, but there has to be a place for this. Like, it can't just be inconvenience of fighting a fight, or of a convenience of an argument, or in the convenience of that moment. It needs to be just in a groundedness of who you are. But unfortunately, for a lot of us, again, we tie our worth and value to what people see or say. So this is what's happening. We've lost and diminished us because of that. Diving into that reality where sometimes responding is the least powerful thing you'll do. Sometimes giving into the argument and giving into the conversation is actually going to hurt you more. So there's something amazing that actually happens when you're able to sit back with your response and not respond right away. It's kind of ingrained in our culture, right? We have this always on culture. We have this media and instant communication, and these things train us to be impulsive. Like, there is an impulsive response to certain things that we kind of look at. And this, like, we do this often. We used to, when I was younger, right? When I was a kid, there was a teacher that said that what you need to do is, if you're really, really angry, you need to write things down on a piece of paper, because obviously technology, write things down on a piece of paper and hold the note for 2 days. Like, if you're mad at something, and I think this is a brilliant technique, you take whatever it is you're angry about and you write it out. Write the whole thing on a piece of paper. And actually, you know what? I want it to be paper. I'm going to challenge you to do it on paper. Not necessarily on your phone or your computer, because, again, that's easy. But there's something tangible about doing something physical, like bringing it into a reality. It exists in front of me. So writing this thing down and allowing yourself to sit with it. Because, again, we're in this impulsive culture where we just want to say things, we want to respond, and there actually is psychology to this, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. But what happens is that our need to respond right away stops us from fully thinking. It stops your emotions from happening. It stops you from actually analyzing the situation as a whole, and it actually makes things worse. So our need to respond, our need to be impulsive, ends up hurting us significantly more. Immediate reactions, it causes us to have regret, right? It's not effective. If we just say something in the moment, we might hurt them, hurt ourselves, or we're giving back into that authority when we need to respond to a person, because, again, we think that us saying something is going to make something better. It's not. Half the time, the greatest thing you'll ever do is just not say nothing at all, not be involved. But this is the mountain that we're struggling with, that a lot of us still want to be heard. We still want to be seen. We still think that if we allow them this argument or this moment, that's going to validate us, and it's not. So allowing yourself the space to actually sit with this. And, again, this deeper situations, let's just take an easy look at this, your job, right? Being able to look at the work that you have, and maybe you don't like it very much, but it'd be impulsive to sit there and say, I'm going to quit this today. No, really sit with this, really analyze it, really weigh out the implications that it would have greatly in your life or in the life of others, because sometimes we do things in impulse, because it's easy to go with the first emotional reaction. Again, a teacher said this to me once, and things stuck with me. He said, I think he was quoting like Einstein or something, or somebody, I don't know, somebody important. I forget the quote. I'll look it up later. I'm sure you guys know who this is. But the quote was, you are not your first thought, you are what you do after. So the first thing that you think, the first thing that pops into your mind, you're not that thing. That's a byproduct of your life, your history, the things that have come before you, things that have happened. That's a byproduct of all those things. We are responding to traumas, we're responding to emotional manipulation, we're responding to failures, we're responding to our hurt. Very solemnly do we ever respond from a healed place, because again, this is why we're talking about these things, that often we don't acknowledge this. Often our first response is to respond. And I want to say this, it will trigger people who are not healed. I've had situations in my life as I grew in this myself, because again, I'm not perfect. There's absolutely no human being on this earth that is perfect. Far from it. But I have done stuff to better myself and to develop myself, at least in the emotional and the mental. I'm still working on the physical. Watch in a couple months. So these videos are going to be a great montage of me just like getting fit. But being able to not respond to people who are used to toxicity causes a problem. Why? Because they are so used to a negative response that no response to them is damn near damning. It hurts them. They feel the pain from it. Why? Because they're not getting out of you what they're used to getting out of you. I've been in situations with people close to me, or people that have been close to me, or we'll leave it at that, who have said things to me and needed a response from me, and they needed for me to engage them. But because of this, because I was able to sit back and be like, but no, that's what you want. Like, I'm not going to feed into it. It's actually made them more angry. And I'm not saying that that's the best way to antagonize people who are bad to you, but it is something that helps not create more of a wound in them and a wound in yourself. When we're able to sit back and not respond instantly, something changes in that dynamic. If they're used to getting something from you, and instead of you responding to them how they are used to seeing it, instead of you giving in to that argument and you respond differently, it shifts the dynamic. It stops giving them power over your emotions, and it starts giving you control over you. Now, there's something that I mentioned that was psychological that comes from this, and it's actually called the amygdala hijack. When it's over emotions overtake your logic. And this happens to every human being, right? Something that was coined by Daniel Goleman. He said that it describes a moment your emotions hijack literally your rational portion of your brain. So the amygdala is your internal alarm system. It evolved to detect threats faster than you can actually think. Like, literally, the amygdala is involved in so many things. But like, think about baseball. So the what's happening is your brain has this thing called neuroplasticity, and there's neural pathways that are formed, and there's millions and millions. Actually, a lot of science has said that the most incredible thing in this world is the universe. It's not the universe, it's your brain. There's over 10,000 different synapses that are connected to different parts of the brain and doing different things, and you can actually rewire and relearn certain things, even emotions, actually, amygdala. Well, not the amygdala necessarily, but other parts of your brain. You can actually rewire those things in your mind, which is insane. So the amygdala, think about baseball. That's what my analogy is using. It's an instant response to something, like a pitcher, a batter swinging at a ball that's coming 95 miles an hour. It's almost an innate instinctual response. The baseball players are amazing because they've built that so deeply in there that it's an instant response, but it's meant to keep you alive. It's meant to be this portion of you that just responds. But what's happening is that it's become too normal for us. Like, it's become just an instant thing. It takes 12 milliseconds for the prefrontal cortex, which is where rational thinking comes from, to actually manipulate and see the situation, to actually take everything in for a whole. Your amygdala is actually faster than that. It takes significantly longer for your rational portion to actually catch up. So what happens is that we respond from that amygdala hijack. We respond from that point of just giving into the situation. So what would happen if you stopped? If you took this 2 to 3 second pause? You've allowed your brain the time frame it needs to actually respond logically, not respond out of fear, not respond out of anxiety, not respond out of just need to get something. For a lot of people, we don't do this, right? This is not something that most people, okay, and not that this podcast is anything special. I mean, I hope it is to you. I hope that there's something you're getting from this. No, something good is coming from this, because it's pointless for me not to be in this thing, right? The whole please download, turn on the downloads and give 5 stars and all that stuff. That's what keeps us going. But I hope it's important to you, but it is not the only place where this is ever talked about, right? Where I'm not the leading foremost scientist in brain activity. My degree is in microbiology. Sure, I can talk about those things, but very, very different. but it is something that is not practiced. Because yes, it could be easily found. Like, this is information that's publicly available, and there's tons of podcasts and tons of videos, but most people don't respond this way. We don't look for this. We don't go through this growth pattern. So you're here listening to this. So what's happening is there's something different. Even if it's conscious or subconscious, your brain is absorbing some of this. Now, this is what happens after, right? What typically happens is later on, do these things ruminate in your mind? Do they actually have space to grow and be left in there so that it remains in there? For a lot of people, that doesn't happen. They move it away. They push it to the side and they move on to the next thing. Your brain, again, can be rewired. So why I mention this is because it needs to be something that stays in your mind. This needs to be a repeated thought so that your brain can pick it up. It needs to be something that is consistent so that you can actually live in it. So the ability to be able to grow through this and understand that you have to choose to not respond. At first is going to be a mechanical thing. You have to do it first. You have to consistently remind yourself. Let's say you're in the middle of an argument. Let's give that example. You have to choose to not respond. You have to look at the situation itself and tell yourself, wait, don't answer yet. Give yourself space. Now, I hate to make this cultural. I mean, I should, because my cultura, right, is our network, and most of you listening are probably bilingual, which is awesome because that's just great. It shows our voice and our language in this culture. But when I was reading this, and I was writing this, and I was creating this episode, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, that was my childhood. Like, growing up, my mother, her first response was fight. It wasn't fight or fight. It was always fight, right? Dominican moms, again, it is ingrained in our society. It's ingrained in our culture. It's ingrained in us. I'm ingrained in a lot of people, right? All Puerto Ricans, Colombians, everybody, we have the same background, but at least in our culture, at least before I can speak from my perspective, it's very ingrained to do this, that our first response is a fight. And again, I don't want to invalidate this, because again, life is crazy. We're doing 10,000 different things, and one thing after another, and then you come home and the dishes aren't done. I get it. There's a need to respond there, and what happens is that we create this trauma almost when it comes to conversations with our family members and people, because we know and remember how they used to treat us. So our response is to respond to their negativeness, or respond even in that moment to that thing poorly. And I get it. I'm not invalidating that, not dismissing it, not dismissing the trigger, the argument that happened from it. But I wonder, how different would our emotional states be, our mental health, our life in general, if the way our parents responded to us was not from the amygdala, was not from that instant need to argue with you, but from a soft and centered point. And this is where, like, soft parenting comes into play. As a parent myself, I think about these things. I think about the reality that I'm going to cause generational trauma to my kid if I don't respond to them in an appropriate way. Now, hay veces que, ¿sabes? La correa va. There has to be times for the belt. But this is also, all has to be appropriate. It has to be rational. It can't be just, how a lot of us grew up with belts and pans and chancletas and all this stuff. But that's all coming from an irrational response. It's all coming from something that's compounded through years. It's all coming from things that they've gone through. So in their mind, they have to respond in this way. And it's all coming from the societal components. We're seeing things around them. Their life is different. Life is hard. So this is the first response we have to people. And just to kind of give like a little push on this one, because I think it's important for us to have a perspective of, we don't have the luxury of having the people around us. Now, there's different facets to this, right? There's people that need to be away from us, right? The people that we should not have in our lives for health reasons, for mental health reasons, for all these things. And there are people that we need in our lives that are still our family, that we still love dearly, but we didn't realize what it would look like to not have those people. So what I mean by that, that we have people in our lives who we love and care for, and don't realize the shortness that we have them there for. Like that, for me, that perspective is my mom, right? My mom passed away a couple years ago. Again, I mentioned this before, but fairly recently. And it is an unexpected thing. So what happens when we respond to people from this state of hurtness, the state from We respond from them, again, the amygdala, we respond from needing to argue or needing a response from them, or we react or overreact even in moments. There's something that happens, that there's this dissonance between the moment that it happened to tragedies. And when we have that disconnect there, we don't realize that this thing is happening. We don't realize that we're never going to have these kind of moments. Why I say this? Because there is something so powerful about knowing the fragility of life, knowing how limited our time is here on earth, knowing how limited our time is with people that we actually love, people that we should work at healing and not reacting, right? Because we do this, again, there's a power in not reacting. The mountain of overreacting, the mountain of reacting or needing to react doesn't negate the need for us to healthily, in a healthy way, respond to people. Now, there are people, of course, same breath, that should not be in your life. There are people that are unhealthy for your life. Family members could fall into that category too. I don't want to dismiss that, right? Because there are family members that do these things terribly to you, that make you less of the person that you feel like you should be, that make you feel loved less than you should. I don't want to negate that. But there is a reality where there are situations that can be healed. There are situations that can be mended. There are things that can. And there's a reality that we need to come to terms with, that, again, life is short. Things are fleeting. So is the response, again, worth the division? Is the response worth the anguish? Is the response worth not having a good, healthy relationship with these people? This is all into people's courts, into people's personal courts, because, again, I don't know where you stand or what you do, but there is an importance in knowing how to react correctly. And this happens, again, from not needing to react instantly, from not needing to react from the impulsiveness, because you can cause so much more damage when you respond incorrectly, when you respond from a place of hurt or a place of woundedness, as opposed to a place of firmness, opposed to taking that 2-second pause and just allowing yourself the space to actually respond correctly. There's so much power in non-reaction. It's the silencing of your brain. It's knowing that I don't need to give this situation authority. I don't need to feed into this. And what happens for a lot of people is that because they've become so accustomed to responding so instantly, again, the pathways in your brain actually has been rewired. It's been taught that this is how we respond. And for some people that are listening to this, and I hope, first of all, thank you for listening at all. Thank you for being here in this podcast. And I really always hope that something good comes from this. But for some of us, we need to do so much work in rewiring what we've been taught, or we've taught ourselves is normal. Rewiring that need to respond, knowing that we don't have to give authority to everything. And being conscious of this helps us reestablish control. Because right now, what's happening for a lot of people is that they're responding from a loose train. It's just running wild. There's no control in there. So every response is within that stressor. It becomes it's something that agitates you. It activates that part of your brain that needs to respond to people. There's something powerful that happens in the need to not need that response. And back to that first point that we talked about, not needing validation from these people, not needing for your story to be good. Now, again, family's different. There's things that are you need to heal. Our friends are different too, right? There's things that you need to heal, they need to grow from. I'm not saying those kind of people, I mean, they can fall into the other category, but we're not taking them into that category. But we're talking about people specifically who do not need to be in your life at all. We regain our power from that situation. And then for those people that do need to be in our lives, that we feel like still have goodness and are still good with us, those people, you respond differently to them too. You actually heal the things that would have been significantly worse. There's no need for us to need people who don't serve and love us. There's no need for us to feel like we have to overexert ourselves for people who don't make us feel like we're valued or cared for. There's no need for you to prove your side of the story by arguing or yelling or fighting or again, responding from the amygdala, from that instant response moment for people who do not hold any valid weight over your life. They will continue to rob, steal, and plunder the things that you find good and joyful because you think that you need to paint your story better, that you need to make other people see you better. So what? What does it matter what other people think? What does it matter what other people are going to feel like if your life is miserable because you need to keep painting it differently? Their opinions are cheap. Let them be cheap. Stop allowing people who do not hold weight or value in your life to tell you how you should be happy. There's a story of Alexander the Great and a philosopher called Diogenes, and Diogenes is like this minimalist, doesn't care about anything in this world, has no money, no connections, nothing. And Alexander the Great heard of Diogenes, heard of his story, and heard of all the things that he just didn't care for. He had no attachment to the kingdom of Alexander the Great. He didn't even care. And one day, Alexander the Great decides he's going to go out and find Diogenes. And he says that I'm going to offer him whatever he wants in my kingdom. So he comes into town, and Diogenes, as weird as he is inside of one of those beer jars, the giant ones, one of those like giant things, whatever, circle, I forgot the name, but sitting inside of this thing. And Alexander the Great comes up to him. He says to him, ask anything in this kingdom, anything I own, and I will give it to you. And he looks up and he sees Alexander the Great blocking the sun. And he looks back down, and he looks up, and he says, what I want is for you to move out of my way so my son can keep hitting my home. He didn't want anything from him. No matter how much authority he had or how much connection, how much relationship he had, he didn't care for him. He was more concerned about the sunlight hitting his face. And I think there's something so powerful to understand that story, to understand that there is this resounding power in not needing other people to give you things, not needing them to validate you, not needing them to look at you in the face and tell you how good you are, not needing them to be happy with you, to paint a perfect picture of you, not needing people to make you feel like you're worth it. Because when it's all said and done, what this boils down to, our need of reaction, our desire to react to people, our desire to prove ourselves, boils down to us being seen, to us being liked. And all we're doing is causing our nervous system more stress. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a threat or criticism. Like it will take on, your body will be triggered by this because you have caused so much mental strife in this situation that it actually causes your body physical pain. And it's crazy to think that we're causing ourselves hurt because we need to respond to other people. We need to give them power. One more story before we wrap up, because I think this is a perfect one for this one. And this is a story that the Dalai Lama said once. And he said that a man came to him and gave him a box as a gift and tried to give it to him, and he rejected the gift. And as he was teaching his students, he said, that's anger. He says that if someone comes and brings you a gift and you don't respond to it, you don't accept it, is it your gift? And of course, the students responded, no, it's not our gift. He said, that's the same with anger. If someone comes to you and responds to you in anger, and you choose to not accept it, and you choose to not respond to it, you choose to leave it with them, then that's their anger. The reality is that for a lot of us, we entertain other people's demons. We entertain their struggles and their hurt. We entertain their problems and their fears because we want to respond to them. But all we're doing is creating a new home for their pain, for their demons, to stay with us. Because if we had to go to them to argue and to fight and to win, to prove ourselves to them, then we just said we agree with you. We come into alignment with your argument and your pain. And instead of healing it for them and healing it for ourselves, we've just created more of a riffle. We've created, again, a response out of a fear, out of emotion, out of a need to be validated, out of a need to be looked at as you're good. Because we wanted to be painted in a better light. Nothing is ever going to change in our lives if our thing is to always respond right away. Like if our need is to give people the same quote-unquote energy that they give us. If our need is to be paying ourselves as the best person ever, let people say what they need to say, feel what they need to feel, as long as you are the one that's healthy. Your mental health is more important than winning the fight. Your mental health is more important than proving yourself. Your mental health is more important than you needing other people to like you. It is more important to have peace than it is to be looked as good. It is more important to know where you stand because you did not respond than it is to be looked at as the quintessential person that is around. You will hurt yourself more trying to win, trying to respond, trying to look good than anything else. So I hope that this episode brings you peace. I hope that there's something here that you look at and you say, I'm not going to respond instantly. I'm going to sit back with this and allow myself to really analyze the situation. And some people will never deserve the response from you. They will never deserve an argument or a conversation. But none of this changes unless you choose it.